Welcome to another episode of the Lifestyle Practice Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Derek Williams, today, and I am really excited. I've got one of my favorite clients with me, Dr. Dale Hoffel from Laguna Beach, California. How you doing, Dale?
I'm doing great. And that is interesting to hear because I've been a Minnesota girl like my whole life. And now here I am in Laguna Beach. It's pretty magical to be here. And yeah, I'm excited to be on the podcast. It's going to be great.
Yeah, we're going to be able to talk about your roots, where you came from, developing a vision and dream and kind of making it come true. So I'm excited. I've thought of having you on, so I was really excited when I asked you that you were equally excited to come on. So thank you.
Yes. Yes. Excited and nervous. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, the lifestyle practice was a big part of my reason for making this happen, just even the mindset. So I'm excited to help hopefully somebody else form a dream, chase it, I don't know, achieve it. Be pretty sweet.
Yes, I constantly get the feedback like that. It's always good to hear other people going through the process. We always it's easy to listen to someone that's been there and done it and gets comfortable talking about it, but hearing the real time experience of what it's like and how does it compare to what you expected and stuff. So it's going to
Yes.
be great. So why don't start off by just kind of taking us back to your background,
Okay.
just kind of your story getting into dentistry or wherever you want to start.
Yeah. So for me, I went into undergrad with the mindset that I wanted to go to dental school. And I chose my undergrad with that vision. I originally thought I wanted to be a hygienist because I had a great mom work balance and I knew I wanted to be a mom. But my dad kind of guided me, and I think rightfully so. He was a small business owner. He sold his small business in 2020, and he saw a lot of the qualities that made him successful as a small business owner in me. So when I went to him and said that, he said, "Actually, I think you want to be a dentist," and encouraged me to chase after that dream. And after
But
going and
so
doing
you told him that you wanted to be a hygienist, and he stopped you, and then almost like redirected you.
Yes, he was fully like, no, you don't. You want to run the show." And he was right because at the time, I wanted to be volleyball captain. I was creating the student council at my school. I was just trying. I was always in the mix, and he really believes in entrepreneurship, and I think would love it if all of his kids, like me and my three siblings, all had our own small businesses. But he was like, go for it, go all the way for it. And so I picked Creighton University for that reason, because they do a preferred track for their undergrad students. Not that I got to utilize it, but when I started my undergrad experience, things were going pretty good. And I found that as I got deeper into the sciences, my mental health kind of got worse and worse. And I wasn't doing very, very good at all as a person. So when I entered my junior year, I failed physics 2. And I was like, that's it. I'm not going to be a dentist. I got to find something else to go be and do. And at the time, I was taking a public relations course in the journalism program as just a general ed art credit. And I loved it. And I was actually really good at it. And it was significantly less effort for me than the sciences. So I switched my major to journalism PR and was on the track to graduate with that degree within 3 semesters. So I would still graduate on time. And heading into the summer before senior year, my mental health was not getting much better, but then totally derailed completely over the summer. I was actually, out, and then I was later on actually sexually assaulted, which is horrible. And took me from a point of low to unrecoverable. I was kind of scooting along, barely making it, still moving towards my goals of graduating college and things like that, but maybe letting go of some bigger dreams of becoming a dentist. But heading into my senior year, I just really could not I had no motivation for anything. I mean, it was hard to eat, it was hard to shower, definitely hard to make it to class. I made it through one semester barely. I think I had to drop to like part time. I think I had 9 credits, got C's in all those classes, even in my PR degree. And heading into my last year of college, my last semester of college, kind of like confided in a friend that this had happened to me, 7 months prior, and I just like could not cope. And he was like, you don't you don't need to necessarily like go in with a goal, but I think you should go to therapy and like just tackle this, what's going on, and see if it'll help you. Things aren't going good now. You don't have anything to lose. So, it was no surprise to my parents that I was not doing well in school. They didn't know what was going on with me necessarily, but I started therapy through the university, and fortunately or unfortunately, I was not getting a ton better. I was going every week. It was like helping me get close to better, I felt, but not quite there. And then a childhood friend of mine actually ended up committing suicide that Easter, over Easter break. And I realized then that whatever I was going through was it was important to let other people know. Just cuz I didn't think what I had going on was like worth sharing. I didn't want it to be a burden for other people. I didn't want people to see me differently. I didn't want people to worry about me. But the truth was, is when that happened to my friend Jen, I wish I had known or something. I wish I could have been like, hey, um, like kept in touch more. You just wish you could have. And I know that I was worried about me. I was like, I'm really not doing okay. Um, so I went home for Easter break and told my parents what had happened. And like, I was not on track to graduate on time. I was not doing good. My whole family rallied. They helped me study for all these quizzes. We've completed like so many art projects for my major. But it just really felt good to not be like hiding something, like putting on a show all the time. It really helped me feel like whatever was going on in my life was worth telling people about, and having them just be so there for me really proved like there's no reason to go through things alone. And um, I told them I've been in therapy for 2.5 months. I'm not really getting better. And they were actually the ones that said, try taking medication, see if it helps. So getting back to school, I turned in all my projects. I passed most of my classes except one. I took a May semester class with that teacher, started my medication, and I can honestly say that like the next 2 years of my life were some of the most transformative for me. I mean, it takes a lot of training, and as I was in therapy, what I realized is that a lot of my habits, a lot of my mental health problems weren't really related just to that event before senior year. My mental health was declining steadily since I was a teenager. Um, to no specific reason. I mean, it was just part of me, and that's okay. Like, I don't think that's bad.
What was the earliest age that you started to notice a decline?
Uh, 14, and I grew up in Minnesota, so that's about my freshman year of school. I didn't have a concept of what it was at the time, but like I would always be great all summer. Fun, happy, things were good, even with pressure from sports, even just with normal life, things going on. When high school came around, I don't know if it was just part of puberty. It's hard to know. I mean, so much of your life is changing. But even then, I had a really hard time staying. Like, I would sleep a ton. That was my main coping mechanism as a kid. And through my teenage years, my 20s, when I started doing worse, I would sleep like 16 to 18 hours a day. Like, I was always trying to be asleep. And what we kind of, I kind of thought it was just the winter. And in a lot of ways it was. I mean, seasonal depression is very real. Minnesota's very dark. You wake up, you go to school in the dark, you come home, it's already dark. Resilient people in Minnesota, I would say that. But yeah, so when I started to need to sleep all the time, I could like feel it coming. I got to the point in my 20s where daylight savings would happen and I would just shut down. Just couldn't really do it anymore. So after kind of moving through the therapy process, I mean, honestly, this sounds crazy, but like we worked through the trauma of the sexual assault in 3 sessions. I was like, I'm good. I'm processed, but I don't feel better.
Interesting.
Like, I'm not better. And that's when she was like, but like, how long have you been doing this? This has been since last summer. And I was like, no, I could sleep for all the time. I mean, my friends, they would be like radio silent. They'd be like, where's Dale? Can't get in touch with her, like days sleeping. Very like, I wouldn't, it wasn't even, yeah, that's all it was. And it was just a severe lack of motivation to try anything. I mean, the diagnosis I got was anxiety led depression. Just like trying to get the courage, get the energy was so exhausting. My brain was like creating so many loops. I would try to problem solve a problem before even encountering it.
Mm.
So you're like, you're paralyzed. I mean, you can't move through the day. And then, like, one bad thing that I didn't predict would happen because it's life, folks. You're not going to be able to predict everything. And derailed days. Should have seen that coming. You just like can't, nothing you ever do is good enough. Like, I was my own worst enemy by far. It was really, really scary in there. And yeah, I think like coming out of therapy and telling her like, yeah, thanks for helping me. I actually never cried in therapy, but my therapist did. She was like, this is a really bizarre experience. I've never cried, but I was like very matter of fact about things. And still, I've since cried, but at the time everything was so compartmentalized and walled off. It was hard to feel a real emotion about it, I
So
guess.
this okay, so to kind of summarize, you've experienced anxiety or depression starting as a young teenager, and
Yeah,
over time it kind of continued to heighten or get worse, and the peak
totally.
of it was during undergrad,
Yeah, by
and
far.
it also, okay, so I'm curious with the grades
Yeah.
and everything, how much of the depression affected your ability to study? Like now I'm like on the edge of my seat, like, oh, what's the turnaround story going to be
Yeah.
for like
Yeah. Well,
it sounds kind of dark. Like, how are we going to get back
how are we
to
out
dental
here?
school? And yeah.
Oh, this is actually like super. My husband now was my boyfriend when I started undergrad. And I've always been, I will be honest, like a pretty intelligent person. So I think what ended up happening was in high school, I could get by with very minimal studying. Like, it's okay if I slept a ton. I could eventually, I could study a little and pass the tests. And then freshman year of college started, and the workload became a little more. I had to be able to study more in order to still succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, he went to a different school than me, but we would get on FaceTime with each other and do study dates so that I would have the motivation to do it. As time went on and I didn't have the wherewithal in me, like at all, to find the motivation to study, and I kept relying on him, like, hey, when can you, I have a test, like, my burden became his burden too, and my anxiety then became his anxiety. He's like studying for his own exams, and I'm like, I need to study for my exam, when can you FaceTime? And I kind of just kept going down until a point where I felt so distraught about what I was doing to him and how our relationship was going, I ended up breaking up with him and being like, I can't keep doing this. I know I'm ruining your time. And I just couldn't keep doing it. And then actually, because he was my main thing keeping me going, that is when I went out of the picture. That was halfway through our sophomore year of college. That was when the summer after that, I failed my physics and then gave up on that dream. And then summer after that, I was assaulted, gave up on getting a degree, period. When I confided in my family, went back to my therapist and asked for medication, really the biggest turning point for me as a person was actually when my husband and I, then after I got back on my medication and I was a better human being, I was like, I really want to date Zach again. I love him. I've always loved him. And every person I had ever tried to like go on a date with, I would compare against him. And my friends eventually were like, if you're still comparing people to him and it's been 3 years, you should probably just call him, you know? So that's what I did. And then we ended up getting together again after college had ended. I was doing a ton better. My husband had changed a lot as a person too, but like both better, both a lot better.
Yeah.
And we decided a few months after we were dating long distance again that we wanted to be in the same place and date, which we had never done. We had only ever dated long distance. And we decided to move to Colorado together. And that's where I got my like first big girl job. I was working in marketing and account management, and being able to be outside all year and with the help of the medication for a while, eventually ended up weaning off of it. But the activity for my body, the physical activity, the sunshine, the snowboarding, the fresh air, Denver was an amazing place for me. And I realized that I didn't need my medication anymore when I stopped having anxiety when I forgot to take it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's
Like
cool.
if I'd forget to take it and then I'd be at work, I'd be like, I'm going to have a panic attack if I don't go back and take it because my anxiety was still pretty unmanaged. And so I got to a point 18 months in, I was like, oh, I forgot to take it. Okay. All right, I'll just work and then I'll take it tonight. And then that kept happening. And I was like, maybe I just don't need it. I don't know. Like if I'm doing great at work and I was, I was succeeding at things and happy and our relationship was good. I was like, all these things that are really important to me. I was able to move my body and like had motivation to work out. I was like, I'm doing good actually. And I think a lot of it obviously was I had learned the tools while I was on medication to help myself naturally. I had enough motivation while I was on the medication to get in a good routine with cooking, get in a good routine with moving my body. And then as I went off the medication, those routines stuck. So I still had the natural ecosystem around me to feel healthy. And I think that was like about the same time when I realized I don't really like this job. I'm good at it. I don't really love it. And I want to be like, I had all this energy again. I was like, I want to go after something. Mm-hmm. And I decided, like, okay, my science credits are about to expire. I don't want to do undergrad again. That would kill me. So I was like, I think I need to decide now if I'm going to try to go back to dental school. And I was 25. And I was like, I think I can do it. I mean, it had been at that point more than 5.5 years since I had even thought that I had a chance at going to dental school.
Wow.
So another thing that like is really big for me is I like to read. Reading for a long time was like an escape mechanism for me, but I do enjoy it. And so I started reading again. I knew I was feeling healthier because I was reading again. Like it was fun to read. And I read a book, When Breath Becomes Air, which is an amazing book. It's very short for anybody who wants to read it. It's about a medical resident who's training for neurosurgery. And he gets diagnosed himself with cancer. And he decides to continue on in his residency. What's most important to him at that time is to continue in his work and help people get cured from their own cancer. And I was like, oh my goodness, if I got like some sort of terminal illness, some traumatic news tomorrow, I'd be out of my job in like 2 seconds. There's no way I would keep building websites. I mean, just no chance. And that's when I realized I like wasn't, and I was spending, 45 hours a week doing that. I think that's what really broke me. Is like, how am I going to spend 45 hours a week doing something I really could not care less about?
Mm.
And so I was like, I should go to dental school, open up my life to a lot more opportunities. And that's when I started studying. The day I knew I needed to quit no matter what happened was the day I gave a client presentation and they made an extra 2.5 million in a quarter because of what we did for their website, and my salary was $40,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no matter what happens with the DAT this summer, I'm quitting this job. I cannot keep doing this. So I was like, I gotta go do something else. Oh my God. I was already studying at that point, like so hard, but I was like, fully, I'm sending it. So I worked my full time job. I would study at night, and then I'd go ski half days with my husband. And then I'd go to the chalet while he skied in the afternoon, and I'd study for the DAT. And then I quit my job with 3 weeks left before the exam and signed up for a master's and physics too. And I ended up doing like a pretty good job on the DAT. So I realized, like, oh my gosh, I might be able to get in now. Like, this is good. So I made it back to Omaha and started back up at Creighton for physics too. And I was like, I'm gonna make this happen. So I was there alone, and all I had to do was pass it. And I wanted an A pretty bad at that point. So studied a lot and earned my A, and then needed the science letter of recommendation, which I hadn't been in school. So I asked my physics professor, and he was happy to do it. And then I was like going back in my Rolodex, who can I ask?
Mm-hmm.
And my only professor that I had a good relationship with, even as a student, 'cause as I said, I wasn't a very good student, was my general chemistry professor for my freshman year. And I bribed him to write the letter. I asked him initially, and he said, I don't know you very well. It's been 8 years. I feel like there's probably somebody else who could write a better letter. And I let that sit for a little bit, got my other letters of rec in, and I realized there's no one else. I mean, I have nobody else to ask. So I emailed him back and I said, hey, I know it's been 8 years. I agree. It's been a long time. Why don't I buy you a cocktail and I'll tell you about myself, and then you can write a nice letter. And he agreed.
That's very creative.
Yes. So yeah, and it was great. And I was now a guy and a poor student. He ended up buying the two cocktails, but it was good. And he wrote a lovely letter because I was able to get into dental school my first try, which is like kind of crazy. But when we got into the class, they do like the stats for the class. They're like, we have this many countries and states and majors represented, and our GPA ranges from here to here. And mine was like, I was like the bottom number. And I was like, I'm a personality hire, and that's okay. I'm still gonna do a great job. And yeah, it was good. And actually I did great in dental school. It's a lot easier to study when you're doing mentally great. It's also a lot easier to study when you like the material. Like, it's pretty easy then, so I had a great time in dental school. I was pregnant for a lot of it, but I had a great time. So that is like my curvy path in to dental school. Obviously, like, income was a huge piece of the puzzle. Autonomy, another huge piece of the puzzle. I was so sick of working somebody else's hours, and I figured if I'm going to work this hard marketing, like, why don't I just market my own company?
Yeah.
So I'm like really glad. I had a lot of fun. I built my website this year, and I get a lot of comments on my business cards. They are pretty cute. And it's fun to be able to like do it for yourself. It means something else. I mean, I was always working hard, but it means something else to like curate something for yourself
Yeah.
and stand like for you. You
Yeah.
really want it to be great. So it's been
So,
good.
yeah, let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
So with it sounds like your turning point was a couple things. Like obviously, like you talk about the medication, but the other thing that
Yeah.
you talked about was just not hiding, not just
Yeah.
being able to embrace what you had been through and to talk about it. So I'm curious with that lesson, with learning to just talk and be yourself and be open, how have you seen that play out in other areas in your life since then?
Oh, well, I mean, I've always been like kind of an off the cuff person in general, but I think one thing that was really good for me to process is I actually wrote like a blog for myself about my mental health journey, um, right about the time that I was reapplying to dental school, or starting my application process. It was a good project for me because there was a lot of anxiety around quitting my job, moving again, trying to achieve this dream that I had already failed at once. You know, I'd already let go of it once. And in writing that blog, a lot of people from my life read it and people that I don't know read it too. But it was like I wrote through things that helped me mentally and what I saw or what I felt, you know, people would come up to me. Maybe they didn't like message me on social media or anything, but I'd see them, you know, at a holiday thing or a tailgate that we were doing a friend reunion for. And they'd be like, I read that and like, I love that. And what I realized was, is like, you really don't know what anybody's going through. And just being able to, if you're able to share that vulnerability to the world, it actually draws people in. Like you think you're going to scare everybody away. Like you think when you're laying it all out there, everybody's going to run. That's your first thought. And I don't know why that is, but I found in like all my friendships and my business relationships and everywhere, like putting your vulnerabilities out there actually entices people to work with you more because they realize you're human too. And I think it makes them see themselves in you, which I think is nice, even if they haven't had that experience. But everybody's been fearful of something, everybody's had anxiety before. I think in a lot of ways, it's made me a much better dentist because I have nothing to hide and I'm an open book. So people will ask me, like, what's your honest opinion? And I'll be like, I already gave
I don't do anything other than my
it.
honest opinion.
You have it. You're like, it's just so much easier to live this way. Like, why it's jumping through one hoop just to then open a door to something else. Like, just eliminate that. Just be yourself first. And it's also really easy. What I found to be the most freeing is like people didn't like me before. I'm not saying people all like me now, but how exhausting is it to be like putting on a show and have somebody not like you anyway? Like I just went through all that effort to curate a personality and you still don't like it? Like I'm just not going to do that anymore. I'd rather just be myself, and then if you don't like it, at least it's like for a good reason. You know, then it's like, okay, well then we just don't get along and that's okay. I mean, you can't be everything for everyone. It's impossible. And that's been really great in practice. My team knows a lot about me. I'm happy to share with them. I tell them about my goals and dreams. My patients know a lot about me. And I specifically chose Laguna Beach because it's a really tight knit community. And I knew I didn't want to be in a place that has like a lot of walls up or there's like this like professional line and personal line. It's just not, that's not me as a person. It's not where I thrive. So in searching for a place to live when we were going to move, my patients here, the Laguna people are really, everybody says rootsy around here, but it's true. Like everybody just like is, they want to know you as a person, and it's serviced me well to
Yeah.
be here and be myself.
That is really cool. It is. It's interesting for me to hear this aspect right now because I feel like most owners that I work with, even if they've owned for more than a couple of years, still it's new enough where they have a hard time feeling like this is my practice in an acquisition.
Oh, yeah.
And so because of that, they end up being a lot more conservative. They don't, voice their opinion as much, or, there's a lot of fear involved in things. And that's something that I've been impressed with you from day one, that, you've been compassionate about things, but also haven't been afraid to put your foot down and say, no, this is where I draw the line and this is how we're going to move forward if you want to be here.
Yes. And I think true, like the practice I took over felt very tight knit. I mean, it's, but the patients ran everything. They kind of viewed this office like a cleaning was like a pedicure. You just walk in and you say, I'm ready for a cleaning today, which is, we are healthcare providers. What we're doing is to maintain your overall health, not just your oral health. And so, like, coaching our patients, what I have found, like, now that it's been 6 months, is the patients that are from Laguna and know that I live here and want to take care of the place, they are so excited to have somebody explain things to them. And they're not taken aback at all by me saying, I got to do my x-rays because I'm not Superman and I'm trying to keep you from avoiding bigger costs. And one thing that's been really helpful for me is like, if somebody's really denied x-rays and every time they ask, but they say no, I just say, here's where I'm ready to go. We can come up with a cadence that works for you. And if my normal cadence is a year, if your normal cadence is not a year, we can come up with a different number, but we're both going to commit to that. So when you come back and it's been 2 years and 6 months, and I say, we're taking x-rays today, if you aren't ready, we're going to have a different conversation. And it's funny, like, I'm a mom to toddlers. I feel like sometimes you're putting up a boundary and you have to be firm but kind and just say, like, hey, this is what we're going to commit to, both you and I. And if we can't commit to that, then let's have a different conversation. And I've had some people who just like sat up out of the chair and they're like, I'm never taking x-rays. And I go, okay, then you probably need a different office. And that's okay too. And then they get shy and scared.
Right. Yeah.
But then,
You're like, oh, shoot, she called my bluff.
yeah, they're
Oh,
like,
man.
wait, I have to find someone else. And I'm like, well, probably. And if they convince you that you don't need x-rays, I'd be a little worried about your care there, honestly. And I'm never afraid of a second opinion. I love when my patients get second opinions. That makes me so happy. And even if they choose to go with someone else, I just say this is what's the best option for you. And if you decide to do it somewhere else, like honestly, just go talk to somebody else then. Because it's good for you. It's not good to
Yeah.
operate in a silo. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. And
So
my
let's,
my associateship after dental school was really, really helpful for these situations. When I was graduating, I really liked cosmetics. I love cosmetics. I was a part of like every cosmetic society in Minnesota. A lot of my mentors in Minnesota were cosmetic focused, like with family practice kind of in there too. And I couldn't get a job with one of those groups right away. Rightfully so. If you're trying to go work in cosmetics, a lot of people don't want new grads because you haven't proven yourself that you're a good cosmetic dentist. So I ended up taking a job working with a DSO that was like a startup. And having worked in startups in Denver, I kind of had an idea that this was not going to be super well organized. And it wasn't. But what I knew, they were upfront with me, is that the owner of the dental clinic for 35 years sold to a friend. And then that friend rolled up 6 offices and sold them to the DSO. And so this guy, he worked for 35 years. Then he worked as an associate for 2 years under his friend. And then when it turned to the DSO, they found out that he was not just over treating people. I mean, he was sketchy. He was running codes, collecting cash, like that didn't exist. And they started asking him like, hey, what's this code? And he had no like intelligent answer. So I don't know what he was doing, but I walk in and these patients are used to him which he was similar. Didn't take x-rays, didn't treat perio. They had never had a new dentist in 40 years. These people all had, like, they and their kids had all seen the same guy. And the craziest part of that transition is that guy like quit in 3 days and was gone. So they didn't have that clinic didn't even have a dentist for 3 months. They had like a different person in every single day. So I walk in, I take over the whole schedule. The reason I took the job is they were like, you might be able to buy in one day. And I was like, oh, well, it's always nice to have options. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I want to do like the DPO thing. I was the only dentist there, so I could take or refer any procedure I wanted, which I really liked that too. I mean, a lot of times when you're the newer dentist under a different dentist, they take a lot of the stuff and you get like a ton of class twos. And I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted to do. And that was really great too. I didn't have a ton of mentorship, which was a bummer. So I did refer a lot just out of fear.
Yeah.
Um, but I tried a lot of stuff too, which is great. I tried a lot of endo and I still don't like it, but that's okay. And so I got really good at these conversations of like introducing myself for the first time. They had all their trust broken and then kind of went from there. But yeah, so they didn't trust me. They didn't trust the clinic anymore. They missed their old guy. They were like, why did he retire in 3 days? Who are you? I've never had a cavity before. Now I have 10. I've never taken x-rays before. Now I have to take I have FMX. So it was good. I learned a lot about like the people skills of it all, a lot of practice in the people skills and the dentistry. So coming here and having like the goodwill passed on to me, this was like almost kind of easier. I mean, this guy like wrote me a letter saying that she's a trustworthy person. You should let her be your dentist. And that alone like set me up for way more success here than at the last clinic where the guy like pieced out 3 months ago. All these patients were pissed, and now I'm asking them to do x-rays and dental work that they've never been told they needed. So if you take a hard associateship, just know it's like for the best. You have something to learn, even if it's not like the teeth. You have something to learn from being alone in a clinic and have nothing else but you. I also learned a lot about leadership. I mean, these patients come in, they'd scream at our front desk people. They didn't. I mean, they knew I didn't own the place, but I'd be like, hi, I'm the doctor here. How can I help? And just that alone kind of scares people sometimes. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the whole time you still have in the back of your head, like, okay, I'm going to get to ownership, right?
Yes, 100%. I was not interested in even starting dental school without going to be an owner. And, I went in thinking I wanted to be a solo doctor. It's kind of funny. My gut instinct initially is pretty spot on. And then sometimes you get wishy-washy, you like experience new things, and it's always okay to change your opinion. I went into dental school wanting to be an owner, and I initially thought solo owner because my big reason was autonomy. And I knew a partnership or anything just limits your autonomy because you have to collaborate first to come to a decision. It's not just you going. By the time I graduated dental school, though, I was a mom to a 2-year-old and a newborn, and I was tired. I was just tired, and I was like, should I look for a partnership instead? Would a partnership actually be easier to have somebody to share the workload with? And that was a big draw and a lot of reason why, even though my husband and I had really been talking about California since 4 years ago, halfway through dental school, when the seasonal depression started to come back into our lives in Minnesota's dark, dark winters, the draw of an easier path, and I say in quotations, was really tempting because my biggest goal the whole time was to have enough time to be with my kids. That's always been my goal. And I think even still, I'm open to any way of achieving that goal. And I heard from a lot of people in partnerships, like they liked being able to like go on vacation and truly be on vacation. They liked a lot of things about the partnership. But then as I worked through my associateship, talked with people who were ending partnerships, I was like, I don't think any sort of partnership is right for me. Not with a corporation, not with another dentist in private practice. because I'm very particular and I'm relatively uncompromising. Like once I have an idea of how something will work for me, I'm open to trying other things. But if those don't work, I'll just stop them. I mean, I'm not going to be like, let's have a conversation with and draw this out for a year. It's like, okay, we tried it for a month. It's not working. End it. And I don't know. You guys talk a lot about like making decisions quickly. And I felt like going into a partnership, especially being the junior partner, was not, or minority partner, if I was partnering with like an organization, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, I think the only situations where those work out well is if the minority partner is almost like a long term associate. Like they kind of have more of an associate mindset. They're happy where they're at, and the minority equity just gives them a reason to stay there for a long time. So I think
Right.
you're the type of person that you want to be calling the shots. And that's what I was going to follow up and ask you too. So I think we're going to do another episode where we just talk about your experience in ownership and the lessons and
Yeah.
stuff. But the question that I have is, you talked about your dad early on kind of recognizing, no, you don't want to be the hygienist. You want to own, Dale.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, so during all these kind of like ups and downs, and during this period where, you're in Colorado, you're just an employee working for a company, what was the interaction like from his end? Was it just like kind of open ended and supportive, or was he like, hey, don't forget you're going to be the boss one day, or what was that like?
Yeah. Oh, Dave, my dad. He's great. No, my dad was always like asking what's the next step. I mean, that's really my dad's core code. He is a forward thinker. So is my mom. My mom is a very forward thinker, but my mom is willing to be the pillar of support. My dad is not like that. Like he's like, if I'm going to be in it, I'm going to be running the race. Like I'm not on the sidelines. I'm running the race, you know? And my mom is like, if what you need is for me to cheer you on, I'll cheer you on. If what you need is for me to run, I'll run. She's more malleable like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, this whole time he's like, okay, well if you're gonna be in marketing, he didn't always push the dentistry thing, but he'd be like, can you do it on your own? Can you take this over? How long would it take for you to have enough skills to start your own marketing agency? And do you want to do an agency? He would ask questions like that. Like it was never like, oh, have fun, like pay your bills and ski. And he sees that as like a good time in our lives, and he recognizes that was a lot of fun for us. But I think even in that time and now, he's always wanted us, all of his kids, but especially kind of just seeing how determined I am for the most part that I needed to go on and do something like this. He was very, very proud. He's still very proud of all our kids, but he tells me he's proud of me for just like making these decisions. And it's cool because my dad and my mom, like, they see how Zach and I work together as a team, my husband. And when I tell people here, oh, we bought a dental practice, because we did. I mean, he's co-signed on the loan and all that. Like, people are like, oh, he's a dentist too. And I'm like, no, but like, we did it, you know, we did it. And my parents see, like, it's funny because, they're excited for me as a person, but they know probably I wouldn't have been able to do it without my husband. And I think that's the truth for anybody who's in a long-term relationship. They're either like getting you there or not. My husband is like a numbers guy. He's an actuary. So like at 25, when I was like, I think I want to go back to dental school, we ran the numbers on all the debt and all the income potential. It was like this is like a return on investment conversation we had at 25. We weren't even engaged yet. Like, is this even smart to do? You took 5 years off this career already by like coming and
Right.
bumming with me in Denver. Can you even make that back? Or does this mean you're working an extra 5 years? What does this mean for our life and the bigger picture? And even now, like in the business, he's like, you've got it. If you want to talk to me about it, let's talk numbers. Because he's like, I don't get to live it. You live it. I'll help you talk numbers. So,
So what was the conclusion in that conversation when you're evaluating going back to dental school?
oh, between my husband and I?
Yeah, when you're
Well,
like
see,
running the numbers.
it was funny is like I estimated, and this might have been insane, but I was like, I think realistically, I can make $700,000 a year and roll with that. And he was like, really? And I was like, I think, yeah, realistically, like I'm looking through like overheads this, and I'm willing to work hard and do all this. Now I'm 25, no kids. Okay. So I still think that number is realistic, but I think what's different and why like the lifestyle practice drew me in now is the time away from the clinic. Then I was like, I'll just work. Like
Yeah, yeah.
$700,000, like easy. It's out there, you know. And I knew it was my dental mentor. He actually ended up dying while I was a dental student. He's an amazing guy, Dr. Kyle Edlund. He was super young. He was telling me a lot about business, and he ended up he flew small planes. Like he loved flying planes, and his equipment failed, which is actually so sad. But we would talk a lot, and he was like, yeah, that's reasonable. And he gave me his whole business plan about he like being the Nordstrom of dental, you know, like I'm not like your thrift store, but I'm not like, you know, Dolce and Gabbana either. I
Yeah.
always have like a consistent flow of people. And he felt like that was like a really good sweet spot. And he's just like a great guy. So his practice now, even though he's passed, by the time he left, he had so many patients. They had 4 or 5 dentists. Just
Wow.
like could not keep people away from his office. And they still are a great dental clinic in Woodbury, Minnesota. And yeah, he was a great guy. But yeah, so for Zach and I was like, if I can realistically like make $700,000 a year, which is still my goal, we can do a lot. And then it was like, okay, well that's worth it then, you know. But the reality was, I had 2 years of an associateship. That was my limit. I was like, my income will be capped as an associate unless I find some sort of profit sharing situation. So I said, we're capping at 2 years. I'm not going to associate longer than that. If it takes like through hell and high water, I will find a practice to own and grow and do that. So that was our deal to get to that point, which was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been really, really cool to hear all of the backstory. Like we've talked about kind of bits and pieces of your story, like along our time working together. But this is the first time like kind of going through like kind of sequentially, chronologically in the timeline.
Yeah.
It's good to
Yeah.
hear. Um,
Yeah. It's good. Nobody's path is like super straightforward. And I think like for me, I'm glad I had a lot of my like trials and tribulations in my early 20s, and I had a lot of life experiences when there was a lot less to lose. I'm really, really grateful for that. And I'm excited that like now I have like a very clear path. I know a lot about myself. I'm able to just kind of like roll with the punches, and I know I can get through hard things. I think it's really good to have those. And I know a lot of my friends from dental school that went straight through, you know, now they're in their first jobs and becoming parents. And it's like pretty overwhelming to do that. So they're experiencing a lot of that now. But yeah, it's been good. I'm
yeah.
grateful. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there will be a lot of. We do have occasional dental students that listen to the podcast, so I think this episode will be a lot of fun for them to listen to.
Yeah.
It will be pretty inspirational.
Yeah. Get ready.
Um,
It's a lot of fun.
so, thank you for your time. Let's plan on a second episode to talk through the ownership piece of this and what it's been like so far, how you found your practice, and becoming a leader and everything. So, thank
Yeah.
you for
That's
your
it.
time, Dale. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.